if you know me at all, you know who number 4 is. My dog is named after him, even though he is taller than me. I think that we're the same height.
The Mount Rushmore of Auburn series. When we conceived this thing together and came up with this concept and how nuanced we could get with it, sports or not, coming up with the ultimate Mount Rushmore of Auburn stuff. Now, we're a long way from officially naming the official Mount Rushmore.
Oh yeah,
of it all. We are still in the weeds. To this date, we have done a Auburn quarterbacks Mount Rushmore. We have also done the Auburn academic buildings Mount Rushmore. So both of those segments are out there. Today, we present to you the Auburn Mount Rushmore of Auburn basketball guards. How do you feel about this one, Austin?
I'm good with it. You threw me a little curveball pre-show that I'm a little worried I'm gonna have to defend, but I'm ready for it. There's gonna be the quarterbacks one. We had a couple that were just like, we're both in agreement on totally, right? And it was easy to kind of start out this with our audience and with you and I. This could go a variety of ways. So I'm interested to see where you land. I'm interested to see the feedback we get to.
Right. So I think that it's a great segue into what I want to mention to you, the listeners, you, the viewers of this segment. Remember, this is our subjective opinions of this, and you are going to have a different one, which is why we want to hear from you.
Hey, opinions are okay. It's a free country.
Some of them are. You're allowed to have them, but some of them stink. I should know because most of mine do.
Just like buttholes. Everyone has one, but they're allowed to stink. They all stink, actually. He's speechless.
I don't know what to do right now. I'm so uncomfortable. I'm going to try to work through that. All right. The Mount Rushmore of Auburn basketball guards. Here we are.
Would you like to go first?
I was trying to give my caveats before you threw that out there. I want to give people kind of my thought process through this. We're going to obviously do forwards and what we'll call either centers or the big men of Auburn basketball at some point. That's kind of how I envision this. So you're probably not going to agree with some of our choices for guards, or think more so you're going to think that there should be some people included that we're not. Remember, this is our opinion. We want to hear from yours. Some things that I'm thinking of personally in my factors, my parameters for this are, it's a very loose kind of parameter of if you are 6'4" and below. It doesn't necessarily have, that's in height, have to be that way. It's my personal opinion. I'm looking hard at the number of retirees, who's who in the record books for some guard statistics, longevity here at Auburn, also legacy involvement. Now that can mean what they accomplished here at Auburn, post Auburn, how they represent things. You'll understand why I've kind of thought about some of these ways, especially when we get into other areas of Auburn basketball.
And these are things you thought of, right?
Yes, but
we were not both given these, so I'm just referencing that right now. That mine's a lot more of just Austin's thoughts.
I think Austin's getting nervous about his.
I am.
How about this? You want me to go first?
I do.
Okay,
just one at a time. We can do one at a time.
Do you want me to just send up the softball?
Yeah.
Okay, softball. I don't know if you'll agree with me here, but I think it's a softball. John Mengelt.
Yes, I have John Mengelt.
Is that no question? He's
That's
on.
No question. No question.
This is the Cam Newton, or excuse me, for the quarterbacks, this is Cam Newton's on it, no matter what.
No question.
If you haven't learned about John Mengelt, actually, Andy Burcham has done a podcast recently with him. Great podcast.
Agreed.
Love history, all that stuff. Go listen to him. It's well before our time, Austin. So obviously we're not going to be as versed on John Mengelt, but we can.
Had a 60 burger, people. 60.
Yes. If you're not understanding what he's referencing there, 60 points in a game
against the other school in the state. So we'll take it.
Which shouldn't be hard to do sometimes because,
And that was before 3-point line.
That's true. I forgot about that element. So John Mengelt, if he's not on your Mount Rushmore of Auburn basketball guards, you're incorrect. We said it was opinion based.
Yeah, that really does stink if he's not on your Mount Rushmore.
Is that too easy? Should I go again, or do you want to go?
No, you go again.
Okay, I am going to submit to you a personal favorite and one that may be argued with a little bit. Doc Robinson.
Okay, that's fair. I'll allow it. I don't have him on mine, but I'll allow it.
Doc Robinson, because this is the era of basketball that I grew up with paying attention to the most for the first time. So, you know, I'm just then a teenager. I remember going to the SEC championship game in Atlanta to watch that team. And you know, we know they obviously went to the NCAA tournament. They were ranked #1 at one point. He was the point guard for them. You could argue that if your point guard is not the general that they need to be out there on the floor, that you're going to really struggle. So Doc Robinson, to me, when I talk about all those factors, longevity, what do they mean for the legacy? I got to give him credit. I think if we did a specific point guard one, he's definitely got to be in discussions for that. So I'm going to even just throw him on the general guard.
Sure. I like that. I think that he definitely was on my cut list. I have, and I'm going to go with one that does not meet your 6'4" criteria. But I did not know about that criteria until
I did throw you a loop
until pre-show. So now he's only a couple inches taller. But as a shooting guard, primarily, now he also played some small forward, primarily a shooting guard. I'm going with Wesley Person. I'm from Brantley, Alabama, brother of Chuck, an elite scorer who has plenty of records of his own, and did some incredible things professionally as well. Wesley Person is going to make mine. But Doc Robinson was I agree with you totally on pure point guards for sure. But he did not make mine.
I will say this about the Wesley Person edition. I wanted to put him on here, and he's actually the reason I made the 6'4" parameter.
Yeah, totally fair.
Because I was like, he's probably going to make either of those lists for me. That's a little bit of a spoiler for when that one comes up.
Sure.
So I wanted to be a little bit more, that's not fair, but to give somebody an opportunity to get that shout out on this specific Mount Rushmore.
Fine.
Because I agree. If we're saying guard, which some people would say that counts, and I don't disagree with that necessarily, he's definitely on there. But for me, that's a preview. He's not on this one for me, but he definitely deserves to be considered. All right. Me next.
Yep.
Should I do the other easy one?
It depends on what's easy. Yeah, go do it. Go ahead and do it.
Oh, you sure? Because I think I'm going to take one from you.
That's fine.
Okay. Bryce Brown. Is Bryce Brown on your Mount Rushmore of Auburn guards?
Bryce Brown is on mine. He would have been. It was between him and Eddie Johnson. For me.
This is why we're friends, Austin.
It was between him and Eddie Johnson, and I'll be honest. Look, I'm not going to hide from this. I'm 28, and recency bias surely played a part here. I'm fine admitting that. But Bryce Brown edged out Eddie Johnson for me. How could he not? Shooting that thing from way downtown.
He did it. He brought in the song. Now listen, I think that Bryce Brown is one of the best for the way I laid out my factors and representation. He is on the stat books. His legacy of what he went through at Auburn and led them to is incredible. He is on a lot of the metrics in terms of guards, especially 3-point percentage. So he checks a lot of those boxes. I don't know if Bryce Brown's ever going to reach the level of, having his number retired or anything like that. But to me, when you talk about someone who maybe is not going to fall into that category, if you look at a lot of things with the Bryce Brown story,
agreed,
he's got to be on it.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, and when you look at, I don't want to bring up bad things, but Bryce for his freshman year was a little inconsistent. It was a possibility was there on the court. Did some things off the court that he's not proud of,
right?
And got into some trouble, but stayed through his entire career at Auburn, and ended up being incredibly successful, obviously. But also, I just love to see that trajectory of Auburn men and Auburn women, and how the university changes them, how they become adored by the university, and all those things. So Bryce, yes, obviously, all the 3-pointers, all the record books, it's there. He will forever be remembered with Bruce Pearl and Auburn basketball. But off the court and his journey through Auburn is special.
All right, so let me just take stock of where we're at. We both agree, no question, John Mengelt.
Yep.
We both agree Bryce Brown is on this. You had
Wesley Person.
Based on my parameters, I had Doc Robinson. That
Correct.
Leaves number 4. Would you like to share your number 4?
If you know me at all, you know who number 4 is. My dog is named after him. Don't let Emily tell you differently. Even though he is taller than me, I think that we're the same height. I have adored him since the minute he stepped on campus, and the success he brought to Auburn basketball. And that's Mr. Jared Harper. Jared Harper is 1,000% on my Mount Rushmore. It's total bias. It's total recency. And there are plenty that could probably take his spot. But I have loved Jared Harper since the minute Bruce Pearl said he's worth the price of admission, because he was that and all much more. The perfect floor general. Could shoot it, could pass it, and had the speed that you need. He's the epitome of what an Auburn point guard is for Bruce Pearl's offense. And I love Jared Harper immensely. And so he is officially and especially on my Mount Rushmore.
Are we declaring man crush? Is that what we're
declaring? Oh, Pat, we're way past that.
Well, I mean, all right. What a show. What a segment for you. I love the pick of Jared Harper. I do. I think it's smart.
This is going to be ridiculous.
I think it is a good one.
This is absurd. I can't believe
it is one that I really, really, really wish that I had put on mine. Unfortunately, when you talk about people that you just adore, there's another one out there that I think means more to this program in many ways, and even off the court too, in terms of being a representative of Auburn.
Oh, I know what
you would know exactly, and one could argue lit the flame in a way for the Bruce Pearl era when nothing looked like it could be lit, even with Bruce Pearl in his first year. You want to say it?
No.
Say it.
He's in Michigan.
Say it.
It's Mr. KT Harrell.
It is KT Harrell. Just in on my 6'4" parameter. Love that.
Is he 6'4"?
He is 6'4", based on Auburn's website. Based on that, he falls into this list for me. His legacy of how long he was here. He has been part of some great programs as a basketball person. He has been able to be part of now Michigan, but he is part of FAU's team and so many other things too. He's been part of our staff.
Right.
I love me some KT Harrell, and that's probably the same way that you feel about Jared Harper.
Do you have a man crush on KT Harrell?
I have a man crush on KT Harrell.
I've already established mine's far past a man crush.
Well, I won't go that far. You've gone way too far.
That's probably smart. This is going to be on the internet, so that's probably smart.
Yeah. I'll just leave it at that. But KT Harrell for you, Jared Harper for me finishes out our Mount Rushmore of Auburn guards. With just a few minutes we have left in this segment, I thought it'd be fun to bring up maybe, I don't know if you had them, but I have some people I'd like to give shout outs to that deserve to be in the discussion.
Some honorable mentions,
but and I think some of them really don't have as strong a case to be there, but I'd like to give them shout outs. Is that fair?
Sure.
I'll give you a few. And if you have some, you can give me a few. I had Eddie Johnson on there.
Yes.
I think he is, if you look at numbers and stuff, and obviously well before our time, he definitely deserves to be in consideration. Some would argue he needs to be on there. I had Jared Harper as my honorable mention there. I'm going to throw two out to you that I think we had their potential ripped away from us. And I would argue that had we seen a tournament played, we would be talking about specifically one of them even more than we currently are, but maybe both of them, Javon McCormick and Samir Dowdy.
Yeah.
That team, I think, was poised to do another special thing in the tournament led by those two. You want to talk about having great guard play? Those two. And what a cool story it would have been with Samir and what he was involved with that foul and that wasn't necessarily foul in the Final Four matchup with Texas Tech. I got a few more, but what do you got?
Yeah, I had Eddie Johnson. You had Doc Robinson on yours. I had Doc Robinson off mine. Chris Denson is a guy who has a lot of points and a lot of tribute to his name, just in a bad era of Auburn basketball, but went through a lot. Definitely loved by the Auburn fan base. Who was the other one I had? I had another one.
I can throw some more out if maybe that'll spark your memory.
Yeah, go ahead. There's one more recently.
Dwayne Reed.
Yep.
Wes Flanagan, our former assistant coach, but he was a basketball player as well. Larry Chapman, my former head coach at AUM. I played for him for 1 year. That's a throwback as well, but he deserves a shout out too. I had Chris Denson as well. Is that any of the ones that you were thinking of?
Yeah, I forgot about Larry Chapman. Man, that's really gonna bug me. Who the last one I was thinking of?
He's gonna shout it during another segment, just like 2 episodes from now. That's who it was.
Oh yeah, you'll definitely hear that. But yeah, I think any of those guys too. I love how you mentioned this with KT Earl. Any of those guys early on that just kind of like Mustafa Heron. I wouldn't put him on my Mount Rushmore by any means, but one of those first big recruits, big 5-star guards Auburn and Bruce Pearl got. I know he ended up leaving, but you think about those guys who were just program changers in the sense of perspective and things like that. I think that matters.
Yep. I can't let this segment end without a couple final ones. More so what ifs. I think Taj Shamsuddin. If he had not gotten hurt, he would have been
like a million times.
Oh, he would have been Jared Harper before Jared Harper, because it was I know that's a big step out, but I love Taj Shamsuddin, and I think if he hadn't gotten hurt in his junior year, we're talking about a guy that shocked the world in his senior year. Yeah. Under Bruce Pearl, a second year under Bruce Pearl. And then in the what if realm, had they stayed with us, Davian Mitchell.
Definitely.
And Sharif Cooper. What if they had played more than they had with us? Yeah.
Well, and Sharif with the COVID year, he's in like the year after COVID, or you know what I mean? The season of COVID, with everything. I mean, not many people even saw him with their own eyes, right? Yep. I didn't. And so I think that, that plays a point too. And obviously if he played more that season and more, in his Auburn career, I think he would definitely be talking about him, but that's not how the way it worked.
So keep in mind, folks, that this is our opinions. You're going to have differing ones that shouldn't have been on there, ones that you think should have, even in our honorable mentions. So let us know out there, and keep in mind that we will be doing probably 2 others around this. No set parameters when that's going to happen, around quote unquote forwards and quote unquote center/big men. You could probably already think of who are going to fall into those categories. But in the meantime, you be thinking about it. Let us know. And of course, we want to hear from you about the Mount Rushmore of Auburn basketball guards.